President Joe Biden has finally dropped out of the 2024 presidential race, and his allies are not too happy about it. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the 81-year-old President Joe Biden dropping out of the 2024 presidential race. Now, this is of no surprise to many of us. We've seen this guy. He looks terrible. He looks like he shouldn't be doing any kind of strenuous activity, let alone trying to run for president. He can't campaign. He can barely string two words together. This guy shouldn't be running. So he's finally dropped out. But the allies are not too happy. Hey, Joe Biden, you've dropped out just 1 month, actually less than 1 month, like 27, 28 days before the Democratic National Convention, which is where they're going to announce who the presidential pick is officially and the vice presidential pick. Now, there's a thing called primaries, primary elections, when you vote for who you want to vote for. And I think the majority of the primaries have already happened. And the Democrats overwhelmingly voted for Joe Biden, like 98%, 99% in those primaries. Why? Because it wasn't anybody really running. I mean, Marianne Williamson, Oprah's spiritual advisor at one point, she's going to be a serious contender. How about RFK, a guy who is more of a centrist or even kind of a conservative than the modern day liberal Democrat? So there was no real contender. There was no Gavin Newsom. It was just basically Joe Biden. So if you voted for Joe Biden 2 weeks ago in the primary in your state, and now he dropped out, you're going to feel like you got cheated, and you're going to feel like the establishment, the deep state, or just the Democratic Party are going to select whoever they want to run, and you have no voice because your vote ultimately didn't really matter. It didn't really matter. Now, there's a lot we got to get into. There's articles, there's videos, there's everything. But first things first, let's look at the way that Joe Biden announced this. Okay, let's look at the way he announced this. Now, there was no press conference. There was no Face in the Nation. None of that. It was a letter posted on Twitter from his official account with no caption. You see, it's just a letter right here. No official White House letterhead. It's almost like this was a draft and it got leaked to his official account. And since they were going to do this anyway, nobody just stepped up and said that's fake and it's not real. It is pretty much let it ride. Okay, so here's a letter. I'll link to it in the box if you want to read it. But in the letter, he says, I'm going to stand down. I'm doing what's best for the country. And I think he says that he wants to support and appreciate Kamala Harris. But then, of course, he endorsed her. All right. Now, this is a crazy news clip right here. Joe Biden's younger brother, Frank, who is 71 years old, and I said Joe is 81. Joe's like, hey, we want to have him here to enjoy what little time we have left. What little time we have left? Is he about to die? Like, what's going on, Frank? But let's watch this and keep on going. And of course, I will link to everything in the box. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
CBS News had a brief conversation with Frank Biden, one of President Biden's two younger brothers. And here's what he told us. He said, I'm incredibly proud of my brother. Selfishly, I will have him back to enjoy whatever time we have left.
Whatever time we have left. I mean, what does that really mean?
He is a genuine hero. Country over self. It sounds corny in our cynical political environment, but he nor I are cynical. The goal remains the same: defeat Trump and continue the work that Joe has done. My hope is that our party rallies around this heroic act. We asked him whether he feels that his brother's overall health and vitality played a major role in this decision, and he says, in my humble opinion, absolutely. So
we all knew that. Everybody knew that Joe Biden is going through some things. Everybody knows he has health problems. We can see it. We have a pair of eyes. We have a brain. We know what's going on with this guy. But it just got so bad to where they couldn't hide it anymore. And they had to just say, all right, let's let him drop out. But this is probably the plan from the beginning because they knew this man was sick before 2020 when he ran the first time. So it didn't get any better. He's not getting any younger. He's progressively getting worse. So they knew this day would come. But 1 month before the DNC, after all the primaries had already happened for the most part, with the exception of a few, that's really bold. That's really, really bold. Now, Van Jones, I'm going to need you to stop crying on TV, man. Look, are we men or mice? I'm not crying. Look, you could cry sometimes as a man, but I'm not going to cry over a president dropping out of the race. I'm not going to do it as a man on TV. I'm sorry, but let's check it out.
Even people who are pushing for this to happen, it's kind of like when your grandpa, you got to take the keys, and everybody, you got to take his keys, you got to take his keys, you got to, and he's fighting, and everybody's so frustrated, and then you finally get the keys back, and then you just cry, because this is somebody that you love, this is somebody that you care about, this is somebody who was there for you, this is somebody you wouldn't be here without him, and you have to take something from him. Now, this is not.
Okay, man. You know what? You know this is reminding me of? And maybe you guys might feel the same way. You ever seen Django Unchained and the character Stephen when the master got killed and he was crying on him? That's kind of how Van Jones is right now. You know, but a lot of guys that will watch Van Jones and appreciate what he does, his leftist ideology, they would call me the Stephen. But who's on TV crying for this white man? I would never, man. Like, he just dropped out. He didn't die. He just dropped out. Well, I don't think he is deceased. Hopefully he's not. You know, God forbid he's deceased. That'd be a whole different issue. But crying on TV over this man is crazy. But I'm going to let him finish.
Look, this politics is politics. But this is a human moment for one of the great humans in America. This is a huge moment for him, for his family, for all of us who love him, for all of us who wanted him to get across the finish line. But if you're a young person watching this, this is leadership. This is patriotism.
Wait, quitting at the 0 hour?
The right thing for this country, you did the right thing for this party. All of us are going to be in this situation someday, and I hope that we take a moment to honor this man and to love this man. I love Joe Biden. I appreciate what he's done, and a lot of people are heartbroken today. Even
cringe.
if it's the right thing, it's still just horrible.
Cringe, beyond cringe. Okay, now here's an interesting clip. This is, I'm not really sure when this was. Okay, it might have been before the first debate this year. Okay, this is on Roland Martin's network. And you know, Roland Martin, big super leftist guy. And the guy right here is trying to say, hey, this is what could happen in case of him dropping out, but Roland wasn't trying to hear it. So this didn't age very well.
If Biden steps aside and we elevate Kamala, as much as I support Kamala being the next president of the United States, that 47% might go up because Trump can't mobilize his base anymore.
No question.
If there's a black person.
Stop. He's not stepping aside. So it's a wasted conversation.
No, but let me just finish, Roland.
No, it's a wasted conversation. He's not stepping aside.
But Roland, wait a minute. I'm just telling you what I'm responding to the people who are saying that.
No, and what I'm saying to the people who are saying that, let me be perfectly clear to the camera. He ain't stepping aside. We've heard Michelle might run, step aside, broker convention. He's not stepping aside. The only way he steps aside is if he resigns.
So, I agree.
So until it happens, it's just a hypothetical conversation. That's a waste of time.
Well,
that didn't age very well at all, Mr. Roland Martin. That did not age well at all. Can this person become the president?
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
So you heard that. Hey, man, do all that extra stuff with the environment and also reduce the population. Yeah, Thanos snap, half the population gone, and we'll be better off as a result. Don't you agree? That's what she's trying to sell you. Are you sold? I'm not.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. That would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris.
So this was during the 2020 election. Tulsi Gabbard, all these people, Pete Buttigieg, were all polling ahead of Kamala. Kamala Harris, as I close, there's more clips I can play. I'll link them in the box. But as I close, I want to say this. Kamala Harris is universally disliked throughout the entire country. She doesn't have a chance. Look, people are saying, oh, don't underestimate people. She's a black woman, all this, that. Listen, if that was the case, then it wouldn't have been the case in 2020, at least to a certain extent. But she was polling dead last behind Amy Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg, Tulsi Gabbard, Joe Biden, everybody. The black folks who would have been on her side voted more for Joe Biden at his advanced age than Kamala Harris because of his connection to Barack Obama. The magic that Barack Obama brought to the Democratic Party is done. He was in there for 2 terms. Then you have his vice president for a term, and he can't run anymore. His wife, Michelle, doesn't want to run. So it's over. Now you got to try to figure out a way to bring somebody else in and make them be the next big Trump or Obama or somebody like that, Bill Clinton. But they don't have anybody, so it is what it is. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on what's happening here with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and everybody else? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I am not surprised this is happening at all. Not in the least bit. I saw it coming from the beginning. I saw it coming from 2020. I figured he'd only be 1 term because he was barely able to stand on his feet during the 2020 race. He couldn't even campaign. So I'm like, how can he do another term? He'll be 86 at the end of his next term, and he's frail and weak and about to be expired right now. So what are you really going to do? I figured this day would come. Maybe they didn't think about that. Oh, well, it is what it is. Now we got a clear pathway to the presidency because of all the chaos and turmoil happening on the other side. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.